Hi guys, I'm Jonni. I'm not only a licensed professional counselor, but I'm a teen Beachbody coach. And I'm here to talk to you about something that is absolutely vital, not only to your mental health, but also to your physical health, and that is your happiness. Basically, clients come into my office and they have all these problems, and they start listing off all of these issues, and I say, okay, that's why you're here. But let me ask you this. If you could snap your fingers and everything would be awesome, what would that look like? And their answer generally is, well, I would be happy. And my response is, well, that's wonderful. I love that you have that idea, but how will you know? And that's when they get stumped. And so I say, wait, let's not focus on that and get that, make that another issue that we have. Let's take it back a step and let's really think about this. So tell me what your problems are. And generally speaking, they'll list off their problems. Maybe they're depressed. Maybe they can't get out of bed for a few days at a time. Maybe they're anxious and they have negative thoughts about themselves or others, or they think that others have negative thoughts about them. Maybe they're panicked. Maybe they have anger issues and they can't get over their anger. Maybe they have chemical dependence issues or behavioral addictions. A lot of people in this country don't realize that they have behavioral addictions because they don't think that things that aren't chemicals can be addictive, and yet anything can be addictive. I won't get too far into it, but basically what ends up happening is the brain uptakes too much dopamine when we do things that are unhealthy for us in long periods of time. And whereas that gives us an initial appearance of what seems like happiness, it really isn't happiness. I mean, it's not really the joy that we seek. And that's one of the reasons why we do all of these things and we have these immediate uptakes of the dopamine, and it appears like we're happy, it feels good, but it's not really helping us be happy. So how do we get to happiness? Well, a lot of times I will stop and take a step back with people and say, look, okay, so you have these issues. What are some of the symptoms of those issues? And one of the major symptoms that a lot of people will say who have mental health or substance abuse issues is that they are isolating themselves. And I call this the me box. Now, when you're in the me box, what are you doing? You're feeding that box. All you're doing is staying in that place in your life, and you're just feeding those addictions, and you're feeding those negative habits and those negative thoughts. And so you need more negative thoughts and more negative emotions in order to feed all of that. And a lot of times people will get to the point where they're so unhappy that they'll say, okay, so I'm in this me box. I guess what I need to do is find other people who are healthy and happy and have the lifestyle that I want, and then I'll be happy too. But what ends up happening is we attract what we do. And so we end up attracting a lot of other people. Like, for example, the guys that go out to the bar after work every day, they will get a lot of friends who, guess what? They all drink, and they're all negative and unhappy. And then they end up complaining about their wives and end up like a country western song, right? So, and that's not healthy. So what we need to do is we need to break this pattern. We need to break these habits, and we need to do it ourselves. We need to say, you know what? I want to get out of this, and how do I do that? So if you have chemical addictions or behavioral addictions, sometimes you'll need to go in for treatment. Maybe you'll need to go to a detox center. You'll need to get some professional help in terms of counseling. If you have trauma, deep-seated things that are keeping you in those negative spaces, then you need to have somebody to help walk you through that. And that's okay. That's great. That's fine. But for a lot of us, really all we need to do is 5 really simple things. Let me ask you these things. Number 1. How much water do you drink in a day? Do you get your 8 glasses of water in every day? How much sleep do you get? Do you get your 8 hours of sleep a night or 10 hours of sleep a night, however much you need? Do you exercise? Do you add that in every day, 5 days a week at least, if not 6 days a week? Do you eat healthy on an 80-20 eating schedule where you're eating healthy 80% of the time and maybe cheating a little bit 20% of the time, or is it reversed for you? What about your hobbies? Do you even have any hobbies anymore? A lot of times when people get into this me box, part of the reason that I know that they're unhappy and unhealthy is because they're not doing the things anymore that they used to find pleasure doing. And that's what we need to get back to. Instead of getting these brief bursts of happiness, which isn't really happiness, it's just accelerated dopamine in the brain, we need to get to a point where we're actually feeling genuinely happy. So what we do is we go through and we do the things that we need to do for our body, and we take care of ourselves, and we start sleeping enough, and we start eating right, and we start getting enough exercise, and then we find that as we are coming out of this me box, these people no longer want to have relationships with us. Sometimes we cut off those relationships with them, and sometimes they end up cutting those relationships off. But eventually, the ideal is to move into what I call the I circle. And the I circle is where genuine happiness is. If you say to me, Jonni, I really want to be happy, then I'm going to say to you, fine, that's wonderful. But what you're going to need to do is evolve from all of these negative things that you're doing into a positive, more active, involved self. You're going to have to break those addictions. You're going to have to stop doing the things that are unhealthy for your body. And you're going to have to start living in a healthy way. And you're going to have to start following the 5 tips that I've already given you. And you'll find over time that you will start bringing to you other people who are also like-minded to you. This is one of the beautiful things about Beachbody, is the fact that it brings a lot of healthy-minded people together. So people who maybe used to go to the bar to have friends are now going out and getting fit together and having a wonderful time. And they're finding that their quality of their relationships is improved because, guess what? They're happy. So if you want happiness too, I encourage you to join us. And you can always text me or PM me on YouTube, or find me on Facebook, Jonni Khat Santschi, or at my like page, Fitness Out of the Box. And I will be happy to explain more of this to you as we go. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed our time. Be happy.